I don't know my card.
It's okay.
He's only one member. He can't,
You kept it a GM
he
product.
can't take charge of the meeting because he's
Oh,
not.
well, Austin's so ridiculous with the cars they have there. I mean,
Now, the
That
voting,
black-
that's beyond me.
Right, that's
She just got over 200,000 pounds on
the
it.
council.
Certainly does not say that.
or sound it.
Well,
So he bought
he's
that
gonna
just
be
stripped
represented,
the
yeah,
parts off the
because
motor for his.
president, vice president, council
Which is to my daughter's garage.
are stand-ins for all of these committees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His blue cars went first or second place in the GM Grand Nationals. Carlo, it's like, he's so proud of that car. They-
Oh, yeah.
He went to buy it, got it, guy in New York. And they- And we met in Gary. You can't make this a Gary. This car is too pretty.
I'm sure that's a good question. Yeah, Bob's still, Bob's still, but Jason,
Yes.
right, Jason goes. to the president. I'll get him.
Yeah, but everybody does that.
Was he still doing all the work?
A Ford car.
He's helping with
Car at the back of his property.
the line,
Trying to get somebody.
What about color?
but Jason
Wow.
is,
What about color?
Yeah, but
Jason
trying to find somebody.
and he's,
In a.
he kind of had like the Gary Cogs, he's available during the day.
Yeah, right. I hope he's done this.
Taking care of it.
We had a dump.
Yeah.
So that- I told my daughter.
I expect this.
Yeah, there's, May has to be approved because it was,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I'll have you approve May and then I'll.
Yeah. it's already
Oh,
printed
June as
out.
well. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
I can.
Is he not here? Shabu's not, huh?
Oh, he's out.
Are you filling for it?
Going.
Oh,
Call
it's
him,
a substitute.
Yes, ma'am.
Something's a substitute teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait a minute, we're allowed to do that?
Yeah,
I think so.
Somebody go give me a billy club. I'm sorry. I'm not-
We were gonna do,
just like
we were
nerd
gonna do
balls.
the little pee.
The little-
They were
little
getting
straw
programmed.
and the Spitballs.
Flamethrower.
Flamethrowers, holy cow. Yeah, they're getting brutal out there.
I know, maybe I'm gonna sit out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I didn't have the opportunity to do that. Yes.
Yes, that's.
Wow.
It's, I always give them that back when the
Yeah.
managers up.
Perfect.
So make sure, that's it, just don't link your card to it.
No, no. 'cause then I'll-
Everybody.
That's
That's
at
Sherwood, right? That was at Sherwood? No, that was at, so if you buy those paint, beer
Got
paint, anything, you buy those. Great.
Before school starts, that's right.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we'll be all leader.
No.
No, no, it's through.
That's.
Well,
I mean, just can't answer questions if they have. Oh, I got a question for a second. I just answer it, so. I don't want to ride on the sidewalk. We don't want the fence right up on the sidewalk.
No, yeah. Gotta get them over with.
Kevin Rome, that's it.
Who is it?
Kevin Rome.
I don't know who said that.
He's been.
He's like that. Very, very Just like it's safe.
For a month.
It's
Month.
safe.
Like roller down there, like,
Which.
the rabbit
then
slope.
it's expected.
Oh, yeah, it's only bulldozer.
She's
Sounds
like.
like
So.
months.
I took it like a turtle. I gave her a couple of spoons. She said, you know, the way it's done.
But.
I was like, oh my
She
God.
she was like, looked like in the
So
cartoon
figure.
with stars.
it
Yeah,
passes.
the whole thing is walking the dog.
No, 100%.
Because
Well,
I
it
had
was
the
coming.
last 2 days, I was by myself. I didn't, I must have had a hat or something.
Yeah.
I recognized you.
I had
I
it.
just don't know.
Hi.
I
said,
think
"Hi,"
it's sold.
until it's-
Oh, yes, okay, yes, you're on the agenda.
So I was like, okay.
Like to call to order,
I didn't even.
like to call to order the public hearing meeting in the city of Manor Lake. Planning and zoning held today, August 1st, 2022 at 6:01 PM. Mayor, would you call the roll?
Pledge of allegiance.
Oh, yeah. Everyone will stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Suzanne Case. Dave Shaboo. Mike Sweeney.
Here.
Brent Moore.
Here.
Al Busher. Here. Kevin Bittner is standing in for Dave Shaboo tonight. Kevin Bittner.
Here.
Approval of the minutes. Oh, no.
Yeah, you're good.
Am I good? Go off.
Yeah, go off your
I
agenda.
don't know, my old BZA, and then I'm looking at here with this. Okay, approval of minutes. Now, we are approving May and June, correct?
Just Jim.
Just June? Okay. Has everyone had a chance to look at it? Okay. Mayor, we can call the roll for approval.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second. Call the roll.
Kevin Bittner.
Abstain.
Mike Sweeney.
Aye. Yeah.
Brent Moore.
Aye.
Al Busher.
Aye. For the public portion of the hearing, we have fence application. First one, 7669 Manor Drive for a corner fence application. Oh, okay.
No, that's, if I'm not mistaken, it's a
No, no,
4-foot
you're correct.
chain link fence.
Yeah,
It's a 4-foot chain.
Yeah, I grew up by this. Okay.
we have to move it back because it's on your property. But it needs to be replaced, whatever.
Yeah, I saw some work, they're cleaning things up. Yeah, good. And as I understand it, the right of way, property lines have been staked, located. And this is a 4-foot open chain link, correct? Yes.
We're putting up a shed too, but I don't even know if that matters.
It's not a business.
I could work in a shed.
Okay, well, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the fence for 7669.
I'll second that motion.
May I ask a question, gentlemen? You lived there for 42 years, I think,
Yes.
and I have 5 children, ages like 44 to 21. It came with one of those, what are those wooden fences? Whatever they're called. And the I have grapevines that they've been, no, they haven't been. I have grapevines, one for each of my 5 children, and planted them. But it's a little bit on the city property. It's maybe out this far.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, and I will keep it looking good. I can trellis it so that it goes into my yard.
So you're just gonna leave the post there? Or you're leaving the fence there?
Well, no, the old fence will be there just until the new one's up and I can go
Oh,
ahead
you
and
can
stake them.
deal with.
Yes.
Okay.
It's okay.
Are they named? Are they tagged?
I named them.
All right.
I'll name them. I'll put pretty tags on them. Thank you so much.
Oh, sure, thank you. Well, there being a motion made and seconded, Mayor, would you call?
Sure. Kevin Bittner,
Aye.
Mike Sweeney,
Aye.
Brent Moore.
Aye.
Al Bush.
Okay, now, for second request here, 7896 Sharon Drive, corner fence application.
I don't believe,
No one in attendance for
they're
that?
here. No.
The table, because I would like to know if they're planning on putting it right up against the sidewalk or not.
Well, based on what was provided, you have to assume it.
Once the drawing, it's going right up against the sidewalk.
Correct.
Well, we can table this since there's no one to speak on behalf of the request. I know I have questions, as well as you.
Yes.
And if there's any notations, I would just recommend that the applicant review the fence ordinance and requirements. And I don't see a reason why the applicant can't adhere to the ordinances as they're stated.
Well, my problem is if the right of way ends at the back edge of the sidewalk, it could be vision impairing.
Oh, yeah.
So I would like to move it in to where this fence post is for the back chain link fence, which is 3 to 5 foot off the edge of the sidewalk. You can move it in back a little bit.
Yeah.
This guy would have more viewing.
But as I
So they're trying to keep the chain link according to this.
The back is there, may not be their
Yeah.
fence.
But my objection is a 6 foot tall solid fence.
I don't have a problem with that, because it's in the backyard.
No, it's not. The side yard setback is the front yard to that street.
Right.
So there's your 6 foot fence line right there.
I understand that. However, this board has approved numerous ones like that.
2 wrongs don't make a right.
Okay.
I would suggest that council update its fence policy to reflect that. But yeah, I would deny that. My personal vote based on the current ordinances which we're sworn to uphold.
I don't disagree.
And if council is approving things,
It's not council supported.
well, the board doesn't have the authority to. We have to follow the ordinance.
Like I said, I'm making a motion to table it, so.
Yeah, it'll be tabled, but if the applicant can adhere to the current ordinances, more than likely be approval. Okay.
So we're tabled until September.
Yeah. Okay, third request. 6006 Andrews Road, Well Now Clinic, window graphics signage. And, I'm assuming there is somebody here to speak on behalf of the request.
Sure.
Go ahead. If you have anything else to add,
Here's
other
your-
than what has been requested.
Here's your prop.
Here's my prop. I'll be anxious to see the prop. This just came this morning, I believe about 10 o'clock, so this was prior to everything else. This is, my name is Jim McFarland. I do zoning consulting for all over the country for people who need approvals for graphics and setbacks and all kinds of stuff. And the sign vendor, I'm representing the sign vendor who's working with WellNow, who's their client. And then it just so happens I've done 2 of these WellNows along the lake for different companies, as well as a CVS pharmacy in the historic district in Mentor. And these types of window graphics are becoming more commonplace than window graphics used to be, where it's an exterior mounted product that is more, I mean, the technology is really improved so that they can be more durable to the elements, particularly in the Great Lakes. And this is the type of material that's going to be affixed to the side and the size. Just so you have an idea of what this is. A lot of sign codes are always trying to catch up to the changes in technology, whether it's lighting, whether it's exterior versus internal materials. And in most sign codes, traditionally, anything that's adhered to the interior of a window is not necessarily constituted in terms of the calculations for graphics for that's intended to be visible to the street. And as for my brief review of this with Holly Bartone, I believe she shared that really you guys are interested in seeing what is this actual product that's going to be put on the exterior of the building. And this is it. This is the type of product that's going to be put up. It's also designed to be able to be viewed from inside. You might have seen this yourself if you've been to most CVSs, if they have window graphics up. When you're inside the building, you can see the light allows to come in, but you necessarily can't see any with a graphic on the outside. You can't see inside the building at all. All you see is like a wall sign. So they're becoming very popular. And then the WellNow is requesting to have these graphics added to the exterior of the window. So in that case, it could be calculated as part of your area for wall signage. So this could have an impact on any wall signage, future wall signage, or other signage on the property that WellNow might want to put, because we're requesting to put some code compliant graphics on the exterior of the window versus the interior. And WellNow just wanted to make sure you had a copy of this and get your feedback in terms of your thoughts, whether the product itself or the graphics themselves in terms of the window. One thing I can share that we were with the city of Euclid with their product, the renderings we had were slightly smaller, but the area of the logo portion itself was just over 1 square foot. So if that makes a difference in your calculation for graphics, the logo portion is in the bottom left of those images that have the WellNow logo. So it's not at all overly huge. So it's a very small amount of the actual graphic. So, and these are intended to be up for multiple years. This is not like a lot of window graphics are sort of up and down for seasonal promotions or other things like that. These are intended to be more of a permanent structure. And then at some point, they will also have to be able to meet your maintenance codes in terms of graphics so that the sign can't become faded or deteriorated or start to flake or peel. The WellNow will need to keep that updated so that it's it's a clean looking sign.
Here's some examples of what they put in the WellNow windows. So they advertise the hours that they're available, some of the services that they have, things like that.
Now, will these graphics be more than 50% of the window?
Well, each window section, they will completely cover each individual window section that's divided by a frame. We don't necessarily have that style here, but they'll cover the entirety of the window frame. Most of those frames, I believe the maximum is 47 inches high by 32.5 inches wide. So you have approximately a 4x3 size window graphic. The 2 together with a little divider between. They're paired up on most of these windows. They're also numbered so that you can sort of see based upon the rendering above exactly which windows will have the graphic. Here too.
Yeah, the tops and the bottoms would be open. The middle section.
You have the pictures too.
Yeah, now the,
My only concern would be the current ordinance relative to minimum.
I believe it's 50% of
Is
the
it
window pane.
Is it of the pane or of the facade?
I would say pane.
So I guess, it's a good looking building. As in my opinion, as it's been developed. I don't have an issue. My only concern would be for safety services, police looking in, right? And
So it's not every window, correct?
Only the windows, for example, on the elevation, I believe you have 29 window panes on the exterior mount, page number 1. I'm not sure which elevation side that is. It's like it's the east elevation. There are 29 total window panes, not counting the door itself, and so there are only 2 of the panes are.
This is facing the entrance right here.
no, that's,
So you can every other.
Part of the vision too is to reduce the clutter of graphics, a lot of, and cost of building materials are getting to the point where a lot of people are abandoning traditional cabinet wall signs and illumination to go with this type of product that provides illumination at night because of interior lighting as well as during the day. So it's
Now,
much
this
more
would-
cost effective and clean.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This would be in addition to sign that the frame that's been erected out there
Correct.
on the corner.
No different than what you see in McDonald's or.
Right. I mean, I, like I said, I have no issue with this whatsoever, other than,
So whatever's highlighted in front of that one.
I mean, I don't even know if the city has.
Oh, not okay. No, no. No, that's not the front.
Stipulate in the minimum clear view
This is
in
facing
commercial,
This one's right here. So it's 2 panes. It's not, yeah. It's less than 50. It's less than 50%.
Which to me, that would be temporary, because it's not.
yeah, and to me, if you took a facade in aggregate, it's less than 50.
Can they come back?
So-
Yeah. Well, you're currently under 50%. So
Yeah.
It will.
Yeah.
Correct. Well.
So. Okay, do I hear a motion then to approve the request as made?
Sure, second.
Kevin second it? You second?
I'm okay.
Oh, motion, you second, okay.
I have seen one.
No, it'll have to come off, it'll be put on professionally and removed professionally. It's not like a temporary piece. It is designed to be up, that's why I said it's a permanent graphic. But it'll need to be removed if it starts, but they're made to be multi-year in
Yeah.
time, so. Yeah, the old type, what happened was the sun just literally baked anything on the interior of a window, you'd lose its, within months, like a season, you no longer have a crisp looking graphic, and a lot of CVSs were remodeling and leaving the window graphics up and closing, box them in, and the district dimension was horrifically difficult to get. More than 50% of where is the window graphics, but anyway, yeah, this is much more simple.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
And thank you for bringing that up.
Motion made by Mr. Bittner, seconded by Mr. Moore. Mr. Bittner. Mr. Sweeney.
Aye.
Mr. Moore.
Aye.
And Mr. Bush.
Before we close the meeting, the public portion, I see, is there anybody in here to comment on anything else on the agenda?
I said something and not related to the agenda so far. Sent it to Dave and to you, but I didn't know.
On the timing,
Yeah, and some
Limits.
clarification on processing, but that's nothing to do with what's on the.
Okay. that can be answered then.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, that was out to, who did you address that to?
Jim, you don't have to sit. Thank you.
Dave and sent a copy to you. Dave should.
Thank you.
Party in summer. My visions of it in Mexico. Okay.
Now for the closed portion, any correspondence?
No correspondence. Yes.
Mayor's report?
Yes. We are looking for volunteers to join the Community Development Citizens Advisory Committee. The function of the committee is to review matters relative to community development and to advise the administration and/or council concerning such matters. The committee will have 5 members, 4 residents of the city appointed by me, and a 5th member who is a member of city council appointed by the council president. Each resident's term is 2 years. The appointed residents must be registered voters and lived in the city for at least 2 years. Send me, please, a letter of interest. The email is mayor@citymol.org, or deliver the letter of interest to City Hall. At our next council meeting, August 9th, the Envision Group will be here. The Envision Group works with cities to develop master plans, redevelopment plans, implement design guidelines, and implement strategies. Again, that's the Envision Group. Next council meeting, which is next Tuesday, August 9th. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Old business, MSP. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I only actually have one thing to report on, especially this board. The PUD, third reading, last council meeting. It was amended the last minute to reflect only being applied north of Linden Street. And it was voted down to 16.
Now, council, well, this board twice made recommendations. Twice, those have been essentially reviewed. And I'm just wondering why. I mean, why do you come to this board? You're going to turn down our recommendations.
So I don't know which recommendation you're talking about.
Pretty much all of them.
Okay, so as far as I understand the process, it's a recommendation. Do we have to go with it? No. I mean, let's be honest, maybe you don't like every recommendation we make, correct? That's the whole thing, the process of working. I don't know which ones you're specifically talking to, but
Well,
from what I
how
understand,
about,
that's
building fronts?
as far as what?
The word fronts was taken. Really, nothing like or dislike about it can justify taking that word out.
I'd have to look at it.
Fronting,
So,
right away, lakeshore entrance.
right,
So council really
so
has no problem with
the
backs
property
of buildings.
at hand, you couldn't write the fronts. That property, I don't know the others. How do you do fronts when there's street or there's sections inside internal that are not going to be facing those two? So where do you put the frontage of that?
The fronts of the building. You have them facing lakeshore and entrance.
For the internal ones, you're saying? The ins-
Internal ones.
Yes, the ones that weren't going to be on the actual.
It's all about adequate design. They did it.
Sure, I
on-
don't disagree.
They did it on their first proposal, the apartments.
And I think that's why council currently is reviewing the ordinances to allow us to have more control over the designs, this board to have more control over the approval of these designs. I mean, that's what, I don't know if you look, we've been meeting, we have a special committee that is meeting to discuss, the approval process, what we want to see,
No, I appreciate the vote and I appreciate the time taken. But the reality is, it just seems like the process is circumventing input from the community. Because you look at the input, and twice now, we've gone back to favor the development on that corner portion. Now, I've said since day one, I'm all for development. Sure. Okay, but, you know, putting 20 pounds of potatoes in a 10-pound sack, I'm not for. Now, who on council has any significant development and/or land planning experience?
I can't speak to that.
I don't think anybody.
I can tell you right.
Okay. I have it, and Susan here has it. And I don't think the city really values our input. That's my take of council, basically reverting back to actually a proposal that hasn't been presented to this board yet.
Which proposal?
The townhomes. That has not come across this board yet.
It's not. It's not.
Oh, well,
We voted down. You're voting nothing. That's a kind of discussion.
well, I'm questioning why council would do an ad hoc committee of the whole, right?
Okay.
Listen to that with virtually no planning experience whatsoever over this board. We recommend stuff to council.
Sure. It's a recommendation.
And over something so significant, it would appear the council just doesn't value our opinion. That's my take of it. Especially when somebody with my experience, and the mayor has had my resume, I haven't been called in once to the administration for you know, what do you think? As someone with some experience who has been in this community for 25 years. I really question what's been going on. I'm just not impressed. I don't think the community has been given its. I'll just leave it at that. But essentially, the PUD was changed back to allow that development to proceed despite input from the community and this board. Council did vote it down, and I appreciate that.
6-1.
I like hearing what the mayor just said about a community development committee, which I fully intend on being part of, but only if my input is valued. I just don't think.
I don't think it's not valued. I don't, you know,
Well,
in that sense.
I've studied urban planning. I've studied, I have a 4-year degree in real estate and 35 years in the business. And I just, this is all good. Thank you. But I just question what this board is doing here. Council's taking the advice of the hand. See, the state has sanctioned this board. It has not sanctioned. And I asked the mayor, and I'll be quiet, but for the record, I asked the mayor, what committee has more authority? What committee trumps the other? Is it planning and zoning, or is it the committee of the whole? Or at that time, it was the zoning committee. This board is state sanctioned, which means we have the authority over zoning, over not BZA, because BZA is state sanctioned, but zoning is not. That's an ad hoc council committee. Same with the council of the whole.
Sure.
So it is less important than this committee. And I just, for the life of me, do not understand why I'm seeing PUD change back. Not on everything, but most everything. And I'll leave it at that.
See, to your point, I appreciate all that you do here. I think you know that. I appreciate you. But council approves or disapproves legislation. And that really is what this comes down to. Whether it goes to a zoning committee, council as a whole, the legislation is approved or not approved by those 7 council members. And I understand your frustration, but that's how
It would appear
It
the
works.
committee of the whole was set up as a buffer between this committee and council. And if council were to listen to either one, it should be planning and zoning, because we are authorized by the state of Ohio.
So committee as a whole is council, you know.
So why hide behind that?
It's a working group for council. We don't do our working sessions on council up there that day. So we had to form, it is a group, it is. So that's where we can do our work together. You know, you have all these other boards and commissions that do their work.
Yeah.
So for us to do that, to listen to the public, to take their input, to that kind of stuff, that's where we have to be to discuss that. Okay. We couldn't do it up there on council nights. He decided as committee
Okay,
as a whole
that's fair enough. That's
to come
a
together.
good. Basically, you don't have time on council to
Correct.
getting into the weeds. I understand. Now, to answer your question about the fronts of buildings, it is all about design.
Wow, I don't disagree.
Now, what about the units inside?
I mean, I have mine face the street, but
You drive up to the back. Why do you have to drive up to the front of you? So who benefits are the private unit owners and the developer. It's more marketable. Who suffers this community? Because 25 feet away, we're looking at patios, 6-foot-high wood fences with satellite dishes, plastic furniture or toys, that the kids are using. And it just goes on and on. So it can be designed. To answer your question. Okay. Way too much time on this. I appreciate you guys listening. Okay.
that's my report.
Yeah. Old business. And the MSP properties, there's a note here waiting response to the moratorium.
yeah,
Oh, that's Dollar General.
correct.
Yeah.
The response, which is why we didn't have a July planning and zoning. They were aware of the moratorium, they being the MSP properties. They responded back to our city attorney, Jim Lyons. Jim has responded back to them, and we're waiting to hear from their legal representation.
Okay. New business. No new business. Oh,
I did have a question. You made mention earlier about the board wanting council to look at fencing policy.
yeah.
So what exactly, just so I can bring this back? What's he like?
Well, it sounds like it might be something for zoning committee that, to kind of chew on, but anyway.
Well, if you guys want to.
Here's what seems to be the issue. And here, both of these on corner lots, is, we have an ordinance elsewhere in the residential code that states that for the side yard of a corner lot, the setback is equal to the front yard setback of that street, the adjacent street. So basically, you have two front yard setbacks. Now, there have been some recent projects where that has not been considered. And rather than that continue, like for this, you know, I still think the people on the side street, they still expect their setbacks to be honored. So on a corner lot, you essentially have two front yards. So the applicant, in this case, let's just say, has the option to go chain link and take it further. But if it's closed off and it's vision impairing, our ordinances are quite clear. Now, if what Brett has said, that this board has approved similar situations in the recent past, I would suggest council consider the dilemma is, do we want vision impaired 6-foot high fences on corner lots to be able to go into the front yard setback of the adjacent street? Is that something that benefits the community somehow? I know it benefits the owners of corner lots.
The street that ends over by Clover.
Oh, that's dead in Richmond.
One side brings it right up to the sidewalk, I think 24 inches. Neighbor on the opposite side, he's 8 feet off the sidewalk. Yeah, the street is at that end.
Dead end is different, but
No, he's talking about that. You're talking about,
Well, it's still the
you got a
same.
front, no,
Sidewalk
because
is
you got a
still the
front and
same.
front. He's not talking about a setback off the edge of the sidewalk. You're talking about, if this is the front of Marine Parkway, we have a 40-foot setback.
Right.
So on the dead end of Richwood, there's a 40-foot setback.
Right.
And what he's saying, there shouldn't be a fence 6 foot tall by your side.
Correct.
no,
So,
It should be at the corner of the house.
Just the house drive.
Like on Springwood and Marine Parkway
it should
by
be
McMahon.
equal to the front yard.
Right. and the side yard.
Now, here's my whole contention. I'm kind of a stickler for details, meaning if we want to change it, let's change it. It shouldn't take 5 years to change it. But when you buy a corner lot, you know what you're buying.
Exactly.
So let's not, go to this, oh, he has no backyard. The reality is that person, in all likelihood, will sell that house in 7.5 years, maybe 12. And when they sell it, that hardship, that's why we can't really look at personal hardship claims. We can consider them, but they should not be the driving consideration. This ownership changes hands, and that hardship goes elsewhere, and it's a structure grandfather in at that point. Yeah. That's why corner lots markedly are less marketable than interior lots because of the whole rear yard situation.
Sidewalks.
And yes,
And the one that you're referencing, we would consider, or that went to BZA, if I'm not mistaken.
We did have an 8-foot, and then they came back and said, that's not.
Right, and the,
They granted the extra.
it was granted because of
it's a dead end.
the dead end. It, but to your point, that would still be considered a corner lot.
Correct.
And well, it's, if that street didn't dead end, it's, if you look at it, get a chance to look at it, you would say it is a corner lot. But it was granted because of
You can go down, I think it
the
was,
dead end.
who's Andy Road, Linden?
Yeah, Linda.
Here's a classic example, that's 4 corners of 4 different
Well, the
fences
TCA obviously,
over the last 20 years. one board says this, one board says that, one board does this, one board.
I
does that.
know.
So that's why what you're saying for Kevin, for the council to do.
What
some
is it?
standardization.
There's nothing wrong with, actually, the ordinance, the way it's written, it's pretty standard throughout the country.
Right.
For corner lots. So is it okay then to have these, and I would say, the vision impairing, you start to get into a crowded situation. With a 6-foot high fence going right up to the
Some,
sidewalk.
yeah, Marine parking might be different than.
And then I think Brett's correct, hey, let's get it a little off the sidewalk. Yeah, but here's the problem, what's a little? So you get into all this subjective, and then now another board comes back, and
Best thing
what
to do
a
is
little to
not
them
approve
is
it.
different.
Not approve it all, stick to your guns.
So you're saying not approve any corner fences? Any
No,
corner lot fences?
No,
I'm
chain
just-
link's
I tell you that
fine,
lady back there is gonna
No,
be
no.
very upset.
Chain
A
link's
chain link,
fine,
but,
it's open.
right,
I get that. So it's a split rail, I understand that.
right, or 42.
But if
inch
that's
high.
the case, then they need to do legislation on it.
So you want us to look at corner lot fencing ordinance pertaining to
So what are
setback.
you gonna do?
For vision
Pertaining to
impaired.
vision impaired fencing, because we have one, it's been
Oh, you're
done
getting
in the
this?
past.
Yeah, I'm getting.
Okay.
Oh, you're getting it. And
It's
you know
yours.
what? We're not here to slap everybody on the wrist. Fine, give them something on the side yard. You know, allow that elsewhere in the code, we allow up to a 10% variance on those setbacks, right? Or 10-foot. It can vary either way, it's 10 feet. We want to do that. You know, 10 feet, assuming it's a 40-foot setback.
I tend to like consistency.
And if it's in print, it's consistent. Anything else, it's not.
Yeah, I know this has been going on since.
This is the new one on there for that.
Oh, yeah, Bert and everybody, but it's, yeah,
You
yeah.
can drive down
Yeah.
Beach Street, Main Street, you will see corner lot, solid fences.
And you'll see them on
And
every
then
size.
Mr. Morris is gonna
every
come,
size
if he
street.
owns a corner lot and wants one up. Why did you tell me no when all these houses are here have one?
When you bring
And
in
then
20
he's gonna
pictures
see
showing.
us.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
the
like,
I hope they will.
I consider
Hey,
it.
you know what? Your wife's gonna know exactly what's going on, right?
I have no idea, I don't talk to her about work.
Well, she seems pretty,
That's fine, but
Up
like I
on that
said, I
stuff.
don't discuss it with her.
and I'm not saying either way, you know, council may want to have it varied to give those corner lots a little more way, but then what about the house that's already tight and only 25 foot back from the sidewalk?
Or not conforming.
Yeah, I can have one quick question.
Right up next to the road. We had that case, they had to put on the other side of town.
What's simple?
Complicated.
Okay, what happens to the Mr. Morris when he wants to replace this? He's on the corner lot, is he allowed to replace it? If we change the ordinance?
Replace or repair.
Not
Well,
replace,
exactly,
not
that's still
repair.
being worked on.
Yeah,
We're working on
that
replacement
too.
repairs, so after a certain percentage, well,
I'm
we
not
still
in
working on
that.
that, so.
That's what I'm saying. This is not just a simple yes or no, 5 foot off the sidewalk, 8 foot off the sidewalk.
And it's everywhere, right? You're right.
You're right.
not
It's
just
every
this.
code we have. So
Okay,
I think we need to move on.
I think so. I think you're right. I
I
appreciate
think
it.
someone.
Check out, I still fool with
might
this.
have their big road ahead.
Do we keep the side yard setback language? Okay, announcements and settings of meeting. So, let's see, this is 12.
Tentative.
Tentative, right? Okay.
Because of Labor Day now.
Yes. I apologize, Mr. Morris, for using you, but
Not a problem. I get used quite frequently.
And really, I do, you know, I get too into some things. I guess it's my passion for. I do appreciate the mayor and Kevin, and the council we all want what is best for the city. I don't doubt that a second. So don't think that.
Even I will say that.
No, we
You're saying you like
all,
me?
we
No,
all
I would
want
never
what's
say
best for the
that.
city, and that's why we should all keep it at that. And, I know I can get a little tension. Yeah.
That's okay.
That's good.
Okay, with that, by what is Susan call it? By
Acclamation.
acclamation, I move to adjourn the meeting. So everybody. Aye.
The audience said good.
Okay, adjourn at 6:46.
6:16. Starting at 6.
Yes.
6:01.
Tell me what?
Yes, thank you for stopping in. Good, well, stop by anytime.
I won't be able to see out.
When you get the
You
know, like make it into a room.
That's.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
I'm not ready.
No, when you're ready.